Hey, sightgoers! Welcome back! Have you ever been so focused on one thing that everything else around you just disappears? You only have eyes for what's in front of you. When we get really immersed in something, we lose sight of everything else going on around us. But did you know there's actually a name for this phenomenon? It's called flow, and today we're going to be looking at this and other amazing psychological phenomena that have been studied by psychologists all around the world. Some of these you may have heard of before, others not so much. So sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. Number 1. Flow. Have you ever lost track of time doing something you really enjoy? Maybe you were playing your favorite video game, or you got so engrossed in a good book that you didn't hear when someone called your name. When we get completely absorbed in an activity, we enter a state of mind known as flow. This was first described by psychologist Csikszentmihalyi in his 1990 book, Flow: The Psychology of Optimal Experience. According to Csikszentmihalyi, flow is a state of complete immersion and intense focus in what we're doing. When we are in a flow state, we are so absorbed in the task at hand that nothing else matters. We lose track of time and we forget about our problems. All of our attention is concentrated on the activity itself. In order to experience flow, an activity must be both challenging and rewarding. If it's too easy, we'll get bored. But if it's too difficult, we'll become frustrated and stressed out. The key is to find activities that match our skills and abilities. Once we find an activity that we can do well, we will be more likely to enter a flow state when we do it. This is why flow is often experienced when people are engaged in activities they are passionate about. For example, a musician might lose track of time while playing their instrument, or an artist might get so absorbed in their painting that they forget to eat. Flow is a positive and rewarding state of mind, but it can also be very tiring. That's because when we are in a flow state, we are using up a lot of energy. This is why it's important to take breaks and allow ourselves to rest when we've been working hard on something. 2. Déjà vu. Have you ever had the feeling that you've already experienced something that's happening to you right now? Maybe you're re-walking down the street and you have the feeling that you've walked this path before, even though you know that you haven't. Or maybe you're re-talking to someone and you get the feeling that you've talked to them before, even though you know that you haven't met them before. When this happens, you might say to yourself, I've already been here before. In French, déjà vu means already seen. It's a common phenomenon that most people experience at some point in their lives. While the exact cause of déjà vu is unknown, there are a few theories. One theory is that déjà vu happens when our brain processes information from our senses. Our brain processes information very quickly, and sometimes it can feel like we're re-experiencing something in real time, when in reality we're actually just reliving a memory that we've already had. Another theory is that déjà vu happens when we meet someone new, but our brain thinks that we've met them before. This is because our brain is trying to make sense of the information that we're getting from our senses. And sometimes it makes mistakes. Whatever the cause, déjà vu is a fascinating psychological phenomenon that can make us feel like we're reliving in a simulation. 3. The Pollyanna Principle. Have you ever noticed that people tend to remember the good times more than the bad times? For example, if you ask someone how their day was, they're more likely to tell you about the good things that happened to them than the bad things. Even if something bad did happen, it's likely to fade away into the background of their memory. This phenomenon is known as the Pollyanna Principle. The Pollyanna Principle is named after the character Pollyanna from the children's story. Pollyanna is a girl who always looks on the bright side of things. No matter what happens, she tries to find the good in every situation. And as a result, she is a very happy person. The Pollyanna Principle suggests that people tend to focus on the positive aspects of experiences and memories rather than the negative aspects. This is thought to be an adaptive strategy that helps us cope with negative emotions. By focusing on the positive, we can avoid dwelling on the negative. And this can help us bounce back from adversity more quickly. Of course, not everyone is Pollyanna, but most of us tend to remember the good times more than the bad times. For the serial position effect. Have you ever been in a situation where you could unremember the first or last items in a list? Maybe you were at the grocery store and you could unremember the first few items on your list because you were distracted by a conversation with a friend. Or maybe you were listening to a lecture and you could unremember the main points because you were too busy taking notes. This phenomenon is known as the serial position effect. The serial position effect is a cognitive bias that affects our ability to remember things in a list. It states that we are more likely to remember the first and last items on a list than the middle items. There are two reasons for this. First, the first item on a list is the novelty effect. Novelty is anything that is new or different, and our brains are naturally more attracted to novelty. That's why the first item on a list is usually more memorable than the items that follow. Second, the last item on a list has the recency effect. Recency means recent, and our brains are naturally better at remembering recent events than old events. That's why the last item on a list is usually more memorable than the items before it. 5. False memories. Have you ever had a memory that turned out to be false? Maybe you remembered an event happening in a certain way, but then you found out that it didn't happen that way. Or maybe you remembered having an experience, but then you realized that you never had that experience. Sometimes false memories can be created during the original encoding of the memory. This means that from the very beginning, the memory is inaccurate. Other times, false memories are created later when the memory is being retrieved. Our brains don't simply retrieve memories, they reconstruct them. Every time we recall a memory, we are actually creating a new version of that memory, and this new version may not be exactly accurate. There are 3 ways that false memories can be created. The first is through imagination. When we imagine something over and over again, we start to believe that it actually happened. The second is through suggestion. If someone suggests to us that something happened in a certain way, we may start to believe that it did happen that way. The third is through misinformation. If we are given misinformation about an event, we may incorporate that misinformation into our memories of the event. Which of these psychological phenomena have you experienced? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with others who might find it interesting. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.